Stone Mountain is the largest monument to the Confederacy in the world. So I set out not to only learn the history behind this monument, but what it means. What it means to the people who started it, finished it, and to the people who live there now. So let's talk about it all. My name is Joseph, and this is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in context. So because I wanted to understand the history behind this monument, I thought there'd be no better place to start than the Atlanta History Center. I spoke to one of their historians, Gordon Jones, who told me this whole idea actually started with a movie called
The Birth of a Nation. It was a cinematic masterpiece, but also one of the ugliest pieces of propaganda that you've ever seen. And it was celebrating what had happened in the South after the Civil War from the standpoint of the Ku Klux Klan.
And this movie was popular. And for some background, in the film, the Ku Klux Klan goes to the top of Stone Mountain for a sort of rebirth. It was so popular that this was the first motion picture screened in the White House. And President Woodrow Wilson was so impressed with the film, he said it was, quote, like writing history with lightning. Now, while Birth of a Nation gathered national attention, one person in particular was very excited by this film, and that person was Helen Plain. She saw how the Ku Klux Klan went to the top of Stone Mountain for a rebirth and wanted the same for the Confederacy. So Helen Plain founded the Stone Mountain Confederate Monument Association and planned to have 3 Confederate figures, Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Thomas Jonathan Stonewall Jackson, carved on the side of the mountain. She also suggested the Klansmen from the movie be carved on the mountain as well. But in 1928, the association just ran out of money. This was also around the same time as the Great Depression, leading into World War II. Now at this point in time, construction had completely stopped and they barely had Robert E. Lee's head on the side of the mountain. But if you go to Stone Mountain today, you can see a completed carving. So when did construction pick back up? That's the question I asked Gordon, and he told me.
In the 1950s, Marvin Griffin is elected the governor of Georgia, and he promises to restart the Stone Mountain carving because to him and in his mind, Confederate statuary and the Confederate cause would help him politically with his voters who were definitely opposed to desegregation. They were in favor of continuing racial segregation and racial oppression, and so Marvin Griffin and those supporting him, he got a lot of support among whites in the South.
Now I try not to talk about dates too much on this show, but I do think these next ones are extremely important to how we view Stone Mountain. So to that end, in 1954, the US Supreme Court ruled racial segregation was illegal with the Brown versus Board of Education case. And 2 years after that, Georgia Governor Marvin Griffin knew it would be politically beneficial to channel the resulting white rage into an effigy of white supremacy. And I think that's the strange thing about symbols. They can mean different things to different people at different times. To Helen Plain, this carving was an attempt to rewrite history, the last gasp of a dying cause. For Governor Marvin Griffin, it was repudiation of integration and a play to score political points. Now that I think we've sufficiently discussed the past of Stone Mountain, let's talk about the future of it, what Stone Mountain could be. But in order to do that, we have to understand what legally constitutes Stone Mountain, which is trickier than it might sound.
Stone Mountain Memorial Association is a creature of the state. It was formed after they purchased the monument, the Stone Mountain, and its 3,000 acres in 1958 to manage the park. And it has a couple of purposes: maintain a recreation park and a memorial to the Confederacy. That memorial to the Confederacy piece applies to all 3,200 acres of the park. So the whole park, we're not just talking about the carving, which is huge in itself, right? The whole park is a monument to the Confederacy and intended to be a memorial on behalf of all the citizens of Georgia. To me, that is the first issue that you should look at before you talk about the carving and its future. What about the fact that we have a 3,200 acre park that's one of the most visited, if not the most visited in the state, that is set up and designed to be a memorial of the Confederacy?
So in the eyes of the state, that entire 3,200 acre park is protected land, not just the carving. Moreover, Stone Mountain, by law, needs to be a memorial to the Confederacy. Side note, if you've ever wondered why Memorial Drive is called Memorial Drive, it's because if you drive up that road, you'll end up at Stone Mountain. a memorial to the Confederacy. So when we think about the future of Stone Mountain, because the land is state owned, there are a few options. You can leave it as is and change nothing. You can tear it all down, meaning have nothing related to the Confederacy there. Or a third option would be adding more information and context to how Stone Mountain came to be. And this is where I want to pass the question off to you. Would you change Stone Mountain? And if you would, how so? Let me know any and all thoughts in that comment section down below. And hey, while you're down there leaving that carefully worded and respectful comment, go ahead and press that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Press the like button if you like this video. Share it with someone who needs to know the information and context around Stone Mountain. But as always, my name is Joseph, and this is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in context.